in a moment that will be remembered as one of the most jaw-dropping twists. In recent celebrity legal history, the courtroom fell eerily silent, the gavel struck, eyes widened. And just like that, everything changed. The room, once thick with tension, now buzzed with disbelief. Blake Lively's powerhouse legal team, armed with top-tier attorneys and a mountain of PR support, had just lost. Not just a procedural ruling, not just a delay, but a total and definitive legal defeat. For months, headlines painted a picture of control. The narrative was sculpted to perfection: Blake, the elegant Hollywood A-lister, standing up for her image, fighting back against online harassment, and bringing a sense of decorum to the unruly world of internet commentary. That was the story we were sold. But behind the scenes, cracks had already begun to show. Now those cracks have split wide open. As the judge read the verdict, sources inside the courtroom reported visible shock on the faces of Blake's legal representatives. It wasn't just a case lost, it was a strategy unraveled. A decision that exposed not only the fragility of their legal arguments, but also the broader implications of using legal power against smaller, often defenseless digital creators. The very creators who had long been painted as nuisances or trolls were now vindicated by the very system they were accused of abusing. Outside the courthouse, a storm was brewing, and not just among reporters. Social media platforms lit up like wildfire. Within minutes, hashtags like #BlakeLost and #CreatorsWin surged to the top of trending lists across X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. And as the viral reactions poured in, one phrase echoed louder than the rest: they lost. But what really happened here? Was this just a legal misstep, or was it something bigger? Let's rewind. This wasn't just any lawsuit. This was a case that involved allegations of online defamation, misuse of public image, and claims that certain content creators had crossed a legal line. Blake's legal team sought subpoenas, yes, actual legal summonses, for YouTubers, TikTokers, and even micro-influencers who had made videos discussing rumors, controversies, or even speculating on her personal and professional life. Some of these creators had audiences in the millions, others had as few as 100 followers. And yet they were all being pulled into the same powerful legal dragnet. On paper, the goal was clear: protect the actress's reputation. But in reality, the case quickly morphed into something darker. For many onlookers, it began to feel less like protection and more like intimidation. Critics labeled it a form of censorship. Free speech advocates stepped in, digital rights groups raised alarms, and creators, some scared, some furious, began to speak out. One anonymous content creator described receiving the subpoena as like a punch in the chest. They had never imagined that a simple video commentary would lead to legal threats. It felt like they were trying to scare me into silence, they said. And maybe that's exactly what the strategy was: silence the noise, restore control, protect the brand. But that plan came crashing down when the judge, after carefully reviewing the scope and nature of the legal requests, decided the case had gone too far. The court found that the subpoenas were overly broad, not justified by compelling evidence, and most importantly, could have a chilling effect on free expression. That single moment, the reading of the ruling, sent Blake's legal fortress crumbling. The team was blindsided, and worse, unprepared for the fallout. What happened next was pure digital chaos. TikTok exploded, with creators posting real-time reactions, dancing with joy, some even tearing up from relief. YouTube flooded with analysis videos dissecting the ruling frame by frame. Even major news outlets picked up the story. Legal pundits declared it a pivotal moment in the intersection of celebrity, law, and online speech. One high-profile entertainment lawyer called the ruling a wake-up call to every public figure who thinks they can control the internet with subpoenas. Another added, the court just reminded us that no amount of stardom grants you immunity from the principles of justice. And yet, amid the celebration of the verdict, there was a deeper undertone, one of reckoning. For months, some creators had felt the weight of silence, fearing retaliation for speaking out. Now they were reclaiming their voice. This wasn't just about me, one TikToker said. It was about every creator who felt threatened into staying quiet. And that's where the story takes on even greater meaning. Because this case, it's no longer just about Blake Lively. It's about power. It's about platforms. It's about the evolving landscape where Hollywood glamour meets digital grit, where public figures once insulated by PR and polished press now face real-time feedback, real-time resistance. And as we've just seen, real-time accountability. Blake's team tried to control the narrative. They failed. They tried to overpower the digital space with legal force. They lost, and now they're running for cover, scrambling to patch the holes in a story that's already been rewritten by the very people they underestimated. But the bigger question remains, where does this go next? Because in the wake of this defeat, more creators are coming forward, more cases are being re-examined, and more celebrities may be reconsidering their approach to online criticism. The balance of power is shifting. The internet, once seen as chaotic and uncontrollable, has found its own rhythm, a rhythm where justice can't be bought and truth can't be silenced. In a turn of events that no one saw coming, the courtroom atmosphere grew heavy with anticipation. As the judge returned to his bench, the tension in the room was almost unbearable. All eyes were on the team representing Blake Lively, once confident, now visibly strained. The whispers had been building for weeks, but what happened that day shattered expectations. The verdict was clear, unflinching, and devastating for Blake's legal team. They lost. It wasn't just about losing a court battle, it was about everything that followed. From the beginning, Blake's camp had projected an aura of invincibility. Legal experts, public relations teams, and even online fans had anticipated a different outcome. But the decision shook that image to its core. What once looked like a carefully curated case began to appear as something far more fragile, riddled with errors, assumptions, and missteps. Inside the courtroom, the reactions told the whole story. Gasps, dropped jaws, and hastily scribbled notes painted a picture of disbelief. Some members of the legal team stared at their notepads. Some buried their heads and others reached for their phones. The expressions weren't just of shock, they were of panic. They knew what was coming next. Outside the court, media vans lit up like a wildfire. Cameras rolled, reporters dashed, and fans swarmed social platforms. They lost trended worldwide within minutes. The fallout had begun, and it was coming fast. After the initial wave of reactions settled, the scrutiny began. Analysts dug into court documents, social media sleuths compared statements, and YouTube commentators dropped breakdown videos every hour. The one question that dominated every discussion: what went wrong? According to insiders, the team representing Blake may have leaned too heavily on reputation, not reality. Where hard evidence was required, emotions were placed. Where clarity was demanded, ambiguity ruled. This wasn't just a mistake, it was a miscalculation. The court wanted substance, not celebrity. Behind closed doors, murmurs of frustration echoed through conference rooms. The PR team reportedly scrambled to manage press requests while Blake's legal advisors held emergency meetings to reassess. Some insiders claimed that several members of her broader support circle had expressed doubts about the case's foundation from the start, but were ignored in the belief that public image could outweigh courtroom rigor. Fans began noticing inconsistencies in earlier statements. Online forums erupted with side-by-side comparisons, exposing contradictions and misrepresentations. It wasn't just a loss in court, it was a loss of public confidence. And that's when the real running for cover began. Some team members deleted social media posts, others went radio silent, and a few even distanced themselves from the campaign entirely. When once there was a unified front, now there was fragmentation. The world of celebrity is built on narratives, but this story was now spiraling out of control. Fellow actors, influencers, and commentators started weighing in. Some shared cryptic tweets, others voiced concern more directly. A few brave voices even suggested that this loss was long overdue. Notably, Blake's previously tight circle of celebrity allies began to remain eerily quiet. No public statements, no supportive Instagram stories, no retweets, just silence. For many fans, this silence spoke louder than words. The loss wasn't just a private legal matter anymore, it had become a public embarrassment. A few commentators observed how rare it is for someone of Blake's stature to face such a sweeping defeat in court and in media optics at the same time. Typically, celebrities can weather one storm at a time, but this was a downpour, and the roof was leaking. Meanwhile, those who had once faced criticism from Blake's circle, content creators, journalists, and even smaller influencers, now found a new wave of support. Their voices were suddenly amplified. The public was listening to them now, not to the polished statements from Blake's publicist. This shift was seismic. Where once there was dismissal, now there was accountability. Where once there was spin, now there were facts. And the audience, jaded from months of tension, wanted the truth. With the verdict official, the legal pathway forward became even more complicated. Blake's legal team had mere days to decide whether to appeal or regroup, and both options came with massive challenges. To appeal would mean revisiting the very strategy that had just failed and risking more public scrutiny. To walk away would mean admitting defeat, something few celebrities in her position are ready to do. Either way, the options looked grim. Reports suggested that the opposing legal team was already preparing follow-up motions. Damages were being calculated, claims of legal harassment were being examined, and calls for broader reform in how celebrities handle legal actions against independent voices began gaining traction. In this context, Blake's team didn't just lose a case, they may have ignited a movement. Online advocacy groups began organizing to protect digital creators. from what they call legal intimidation. Panels were scheduled, op-eds were published, and legal watchdogs jumped in. One legal expert put it best: this wasn't just a ruling, it was a reckoning. And now all eyes are on Blake's next move. Will she accept the judgment and step back, or will her team double down and risk even more reputational damage? As the legal dust settled, another challenge loomed large: Blake's public image. A team once known for elegance and media finesse now faced the toughest PR storm of its career. Their usual playbook, red carpet appearances, exclusive interviews, carefully timed photos, no longer worked. The public had moved on from style, they wanted sincerity. Experts from crisis communication firms weighed in on what Blake could do to salvage her image. Most agreed silence wouldn't work this time. Transparency, accountability, and humility were her only real options. Some suggested a sit-down interview, something heartfelt, vulnerable, real. Others proposed a break from social media to reflect and regroup. But the clock was ticking. Every day without a genuine statement only deepened public distrust. Meanwhile, content creators who had once been marginalized found new platforms, new audiences, and new respect. The balance had shifted, the spotlight had moved, and Blake Lively, once the center of every narrative, was now struggling to find her footing. The final scene is still unwritten. Will she return with renewed clarity or disappear behind a wall of silence? One thing is certain: the era of unchecked celebrity influence over the legal system has been cracked. And the internet doesn't forget.